Hey gardening friends, ready to grow healthier plants, bigger harvests, and smarter gardens? Let's get started.
What if the moment most gardeners walk away from their garden is actually the exact moment your best harvest of the year is about to begin? And what if there are 16 vegetables sitting right now in your local garden center or seed drawer that thrive in this heat, grow faster as temperatures climb, and will still make it to your dinner table before the first frost hits? Welcome to the Smart Gardener. If you want a garden that never stops producing, even in the dead of summer, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss what we share next. Here is the truth that most gardeners never figure out. August does not mean your planting window has closed. When the seed packets say it is too late, when the nurseries start clearing their shelves to make room for fall decorations, and when your neighbors quietly give up on starting anything new, that is exactly the moment a specific group of vegetables is just hitting its stride. These plants do not need a full spring season to succeed. They need warm soil, a realistic count of the days remaining before frost, and the right choice of what to put in the ground. Today I am going to walk you through 16 heat-loving vegetables, ranked from the safest bets to the biggest gambles. You will get 15 classics that most gardeners either start too early or grow the wrong way, plus one bonus crop that almost nobody talks about, but that serious summer gardeners quietly rely on every single year. I will give you the real techniques, not just the basics, so you can actually get a harvest before the cold shuts everything down. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something. Drop your average first frost date in the comments below, along with your growing zone if you know it. I read every single one, and that information genuinely changes which of these vegetables make the most sense for where you live. Someone in coastal Georgia has a completely different window than someone in Ohio, and I would rather help you plant smart than have you guess. Now, let us get into it, starting with the ones you really cannot go wrong with. Let's start with the safest bets on this list, the ones you can plant right now with real confidence. Number 1 is okra, and it earns the top spot because it does something almost no other vegetable will do. It actually speeds up as temperatures climb. While most crops shut down when daytime highs push into the upper 90s, okra treats that same heat as an invitation to produce more. Soil needs to be at least 70 degrees Fahrenheit for good germination. And soaking your seeds in warm water for 12 to 24 hours softens the tough outer coat and speeds things up noticeably. Harvest when pods are 2 to 3 inches long and still bright green. Wait longer than 48 to 72 hours, and they turn woody fast. Cut every single day during peak summer because regular cutting signals the plant to keep pushing out new flowers. Just a few healthy plants can produce dozens of pods continuously for 2 to 3 months, and those hibiscus-like blooms pull pollinators into your entire garden as a bonus. Number 2 is Malabar spinach, and despite the name, it shares nothing with true spinach. It is a tropical vine that loves heat above 90 degrees and tends to sit motionless for weeks early on while building roots underground. New growers often assume it has failed. It has not. Once temperatures rise enough, it takes off fast and can cover a trellis by midsummer. Put your support structure in before the vine needs it. Soak seeds overnight or lightly scarify the seed coat before planting to speed germination. Just 2 plants is enough to keep a household harvesting through summer and into fall. Pinch the growing tips when vines reach 18 to 24 inches to encourage branching. Keep moisture consistent, because dry spells trigger early flowering and the leaves turn bitter. The thick texture makes them excellent in soups and stews. Number 3 is the heat-tolerant cherry tomato. Most varieties fail to set fruit when daytime temperatures stay above 85 degrees, and nights never drop below 72 degrees because pollen becomes unviable. Cherry types push through this better because smaller fruit needs less time and energy to develop. Plant more than one heat-tolerant variety to limit your risk. Water deeply in the early morning at soil level, which cuts evaporation by around 60% and helps prevent blossom drop. If flowers are dropping, do not add fertilizer. The problem is temperature, not nutrition. Stay patient, keep the plant watered, and harvest regularly, because a vine heavy with ripe fruit slows new flower production. Number 4 is Tomatillo, and the most common mistake has nothing to do with soil or watering. It is simply planting only one. Most varieties cannot self-pollinate. You need at least 2 plants close enough for insects to transfer pollen between them. They do not need to be the same variety, just flower around the same time. A single isolated tomatillo, no matter how healthy, will often produce almost nothing. The plant gets larger than most people expect, easily reaching 3 feet tall and wide, so stake it early. Keep nitrogen low because too much pushes heavy foliage at the expense of fruit. And rounding out this first group is number 5, New Zealand spinach. Not related to true spinach at all, but it behaves in the exact opposite way when heat arrives. True spinach bolts and turns bitter as temperatures rise. New Zealand spinach takes off once summer heat kicks in. Soak seeds overnight before planting to penetrate the hard outer coat. Cut entire growing tips about 4 to 6 inches long rather than picking individual leaves, which prompts side shoots and multiplies your harvest points. The value here is a steady stream of cuttings through the hottest weeks of summer, exactly when everything else in your cool season garden has already given up. Now we move into the group that rewards you when you get the technique right. Number 6 is hot peppers. Peppers love heat, but they actually need temperatures between 55 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit to set fruit reliably. Outside that window, pollen fails. One mistake that stalls a lot of gardeners is moving seedlings outside just because the days feel warm. Cool nights can freeze your pepper's progress for weeks, even when daytime air seems fine. Once flowering starts, cut back on nitrogen immediately, because extra nitrogen at that stage pushes leaves instead of fruit. If temperatures are consistently above 90 degrees, a 30% shade cloth during the hottest hours drops canopy temperature by 5 to 10 degrees and can bring fruit set back. Do not strip leaves for airflow either. Those leaves are protecting your developing peppers from sun scald. Many hot varieties keep flowering even past 95 degrees, which gives them a real edge over sweet peppers in a brutal summer. Number 7 is winter squash, and the name alone confuses more gardeners than almost anything on this list. This is not a cool season crop. It needs a long, warm summer to develop, and the name only refers to how well it stores through winter. Butternut, acorn, delicata, and mini pumpkins all belong here. Harvest when the rind cannot be scratched with your fingernail and the stem has started to dry out. Most varieties need a curing period afterward to harden the skin and concentrate the flavor. Acorn is the exception. Skip curing it because curing actually shortens its shelf life. Butternut can keep for up to 6 months. Acorn is closer to 4 weeks. Cure most varieties outside in the sun for 5 to 7 days, or indoors at 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit with good airflow. The real value here is food that keeps feeding your family long after the garden has gone dormant. Number 8 is vegetable amaranth, and there is a good chance you have pulled this out of your garden before thinking it was a weed. That same vigor is exactly what makes it worth growing on purpose. It thrives once nighttime temperatures stay at or above 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The seeds are extremely fine, so scatter them thinly and cover with just a light dusting of soil. Once plants reach 8 to 12 inches, cut the growing tips for an immediate harvest while triggering the plant to branch. Harvest frequently to keep leaves tender. Young leaves work raw in salads. Larger ones are best lightly steamed. Amaranth is rich in calcium, magnesium, iron, and vitamins A and C. Leave a few plants uncut through the season, and they will develop large seed clusters you can cook whole or grind into flour. Number 9 is cucumber, and here is a situation most gardeners face at some point. A vine full of flowers that still barely produces. The cause is almost never fertilizer. Male flowers appear first, sometimes a full week before female flowers show up. You can tell them apart because female flowers have a tiny immature cucumber sitting right behind the petals. That female flower must be pollinated within 4 hours of opening or the tiny fruit yellows and drops. If you have been using row covers, pull them off the moment flowers appear so bees can get in. Cucumber roots are shallow and lose moisture fast, and dry spells produce bitter fruit because of a stress compound that builds up in the flesh. Water deeply in the morning and mulch well. Train vines onto a trellis. Trellised cucumbers stay cleaner, get better airflow, and consistently out-yield plants left sprawling on the ground. Always harvest at the right size, because one overripe fruit left on the vine tells the whole plant to stop producing. Number 10 is sweet potato. And this one tests patience, because for months you will see almost nothing above ground, while everything important happens underground. Sweet potatoes grow from rooted shoots called slips, not from seed or cut pieces. Soil temperature matters more than most people realize. Cold soil in the early weeks slows root development in ways that cannot be fully corrected later. In shorter season areas, choose early maturing varieties and use black plastic mulch to warm the soil faster. After harvest, do not skip the curing step. Cure your sweet potatoes at around 85 degrees Fahrenheit with 80 to 90% humidity for 5 to 10 days. That process converts starch into sugar, which is where the deep sweetness comes from, and it seals the skin wounds from digging that would otherwise cause rot in storage. We are getting into the final stretch, and these last 5 have reputations that are mostly undeserved. Get the strategy right, and they deliver. Number 11 is eggplant, and its reputation for being difficult comes down to one mistake: planting too early. Eggplant is the most cold-sensitive vegetable in a typical home garden, more sensitive than tomatoes or peppers. Nights below 50 degrees Fahrenheit after transplanting will stall the plant, drop its flowers, and it often never fully recovers. Soil needs to be above 60 degrees before you transplant. Success or failure here is almost entirely about soil temperature at planting, nothing else. Stake plants early, leave the foliage alone since those leaves protect developing fruit from sun scald, and harvest while the skin is still tight and glossy. A dull surface means the seeds have hardened and the flesh has already lost its quality. Cut the stem with scissors rather than pulling to avoid snapping branches carrying younger fruit below. Number 12 is collard greens, and this is the only cabbage family vegetable that keeps producing through a real summer. Broccoli, cauliflower, and heading cabbage all fall apart in heat. Collards keep going because their open leaf structure does not form a tight head. Heat tolerance does not mean drought tolerance, though. Dry soil produces leaves that are tougher and more bitter. Always harvest outer leaves first while keeping the central growing point intact. When the first light frosts arrive in fall, stored starch converts to sugar, and the same plant that tasted sharp in peak summer becomes noticeably milder and sweeter. Number 13 is sweet corn, and gaps in your cob almost always come down to how you arranged your planting. Corn is wind-pollinated, and every silk thread connects to one potential kernel. Plant in a compact block of at least 3 to 4 short rows, never a single long row. Water stress during tasseling and silking causes damage that cannot be corrected afterward. Check ripeness by piercing a kernel. Watery juice means not ready. Milky juice means perfect. Thick and doughy means too late. Sweetness drops around 50% within 1 hour of picking, so cook it the same day you harvest. Stagger 2 plantings 2 weeks apart to stretch your harvest window. Number 14 is zucchini, and one healthy plant can produce more than you ever expected. When pollination fails due to heat, rain, or low bee activity, hand pollinate using a small paintbrush to move pollen from a male flower to the center of a female flower. 1 transfer per female flower is enough. Water at the base only, and keep the canopy dry to prevent powdery mildew. A simple prevention is spraying 1 part milk mixed with 2 parts water on the leaves on a sunny day. Repeated every 10 to 14 days. Harvest while the skin is still glossy and seeds are soft. 1 oversized fruit left on the vine tells the whole plant to stop producing new fruit. And number 15 is Swiss chard. By the time spinach has bolted and lettuce has gone bitter, Swiss chard is just hitting its stride. It is not sensitive to day length, so it almost never bolts, and 1 planting can keep producing for a full year. Always cut the outer mature leaves and leave the center growing point intact. The plant keeps regenerating from that point all season long. Keep soil consistently moist and mulch well. When everything else in your summer garden is finished, Swiss chard is still quietly delivering, steady and reliable, right through to fall. Now, before we wrap up, I want to share one more crop that did not make most gardeners' lists, but absolutely deserves a place on yours. This is number 16, and it is southern peas, also called cow peas or field peas, and it has been feeding American families since colonial times for very good reason. Southern peas come in 3 main types: black-eyed peas, Crowder peas, and cream peas, each with its own distinct flavor. What makes them remarkable for summer gardening is their toughness. They handle heat and drought better than almost anything else on this list, and they will grow and produce in sandy, nutrient-poor soil that would cause most vegetables to give up entirely. You can plant them in June, July, or even August, and still bring in a real harvest before frost. Pick every 2 to 3 days, because pods ripen fast. You can eat them young like green beans, shell them fresh when the peas have filled out, or leave them to dry completely for winter storage. 3 very different harvests from one planting. And here is the bonus that smart gardeners have always known. The roots fix nitrogen from the air directly into your soil. Plant southern peas where you plan to put broccoli or cabbage this fall, and you are feeding next season's garden for free while you harvest this one. So here is where we land after all 16. Some of these crops, like okra and amaranth, are practically waiting for the hottest weeks to hit their stride. Others, like Swiss chard and collards, quietly bridge the gap when the rest of the garden starts to fade. And a few, like tomatillo and zucchini, just needed one small correction to go from disappointing to overflowing. None of this requires a perfect garden. It just requires knowing which 16 plants were built for the heat that everyone else is simply trying to survive. If this gave you something useful, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to The Smart Gardener so you never miss what is coming next. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 16 you are most excited to try this week. And if you know someone who has already given up on their summer garden, share this with them. It might be exactly what they need to get back out there.